Good morning, students. I'm Praveen Thakur here with your Standard 3 SST. Hope you all are well at home, students, and taking care of yourselves. Students, I had started with the story of early man, chapter 18. So, yesterday I explained you about how the early mans came, how their remains were found, how they were called the hunters, how they were hunters killing animals, searching for food, and what clothes they used to wear. There were no clothes. They wore the animal skins to cover their body in the winter. Now let's continue with the explanation. So today I'm going to explain you first about the communication, how the early humans communicated with each other. That means talk to each other. Of course, there was no language in those period. They did not know how to talk also. They saw the animals later on that they are making sound from their throat, then they started making some sounds. But there was no language, so they used hand gestures, that is hand signs, to communicate. Like when you call, what you do? You just, we do like this. When you are hungry, we do like this. So this was how they communicated with each other, calling, using hand signs, and by drawing it on the walls to communicate with each other. Afterward, he began making the sound of animals, some this type of sound, how the animals make, so that the other person could hear what he is trying to call him. Otherwise, without silence, we will not know. So, using animal sounds, he started calling, and it took lot of years for them to start to speak whatever their language or whatever they used to speak. They did not have any knowledge about thunder, rain, clouds, why it is raining, why there is thunder, why suddenly the water is falling upside. They were scared of all these things. They did not have any knowledge. How will they have the knowledge? They didn't know why the sun is rising and it sets in the rises in the east and sets in the west. Why? Why does it suddenly become so bright and then after some time it is so dark? So whenever this thing happened, they all were scared and they ran into the caves. They thought, what is wrong? It took them a lot of time for them to learn about all this. Then slowly and slowly, see here you can see in this slide how they are using these paintings to communicate with each other. Because of these paintings, we have come to know how they killed the animals, how they ate the animals. Through these, this is known as communication. 40, 50,000 years before they have died, and today we are knowing about it, that how they lived, how they hunted animals. Then came a great change, the discovery of fire, which was one of the biggest change in their life. Here you can see how they are trying to make fire. They are rolling the sticks in their hand very hard. When you rub your hands, it becomes cold, it becomes hot in the winter season. Especially everyone starts rubbing their hand when it is very cold. Here they are rubbing the stick, and so downside there are some grass. And when you roll it between your hand palms very fast, then sparks come out. And when these sparks come out, then you can see by one spark, two spark, three sparks, and then there is suddenly a light comes, fire comes out. So this is what is discovery of fire. This is how they discovered. One method was this, and the second method, here you can see him banging the two stones, rubbing the two stones. This was also difficult because just by rubbing stones you don't get fire. You have to beat it very hard, very fast. But you have to take care of your fingers also, that you don't break your fingers while rubbing the two stones. So while continuously when you hit very hard and near some dry grass, same thing, first one spark, two spark, three, and then after few sparks or after many sparks, suddenly the light goes on, fire starts. So this was very difficult, but this way they discovered fire. This might have seen a forest fire somewhere. So they thought that this forest fire is very useful. We have in winter we are feeling hot, and animals also afraid of it. So they discovered fire. It was a great discovery for them. So they thought of 4 uses at that time of fire. First one, to keep themselves warm. Second, to scare away the animals. Third, to cook food. And fourth, to see in the dark. In the cave it was very dark, to see in the dark. How they cooked food, that was also very interesting. When they were eating the raw flesh of the animals without cooking, without washing, without any spiceless, tasteless, one piece of raw meat fell in the fire. And afterward, when they took it out, they found that it is very, very soft. So when they thought that it is so soft, and now taste has also become different. So they thought, oh, this fire is very good. It is helping us in cooking also. So this way they started cooking food on fire, which was a great change. Then the beginning of settled life. Here you can see again he's with tools, he's making this, trying to light a fire. Then the beginning of settled life. Fruits what they ate, they threw it on the ground. After a few weeks they saw the seeds are sprouting. So you know what is sprouting? A new thing comes out, new plant comes out from the seed. So when they saw this, so they said, well, why are we throwing away the seeds? Instead of throwing the seeds, we will collect the seeds. And they started collecting the seeds, and on even land at one place, they started sowing those seeds and giving water to it. After a few weeks, they saw that it's growing into plants. So they became very happy. Oh, something new we have found it. And like this way, they started growing the plants. And this way, instead of moving from one place to another, now they knew that at one place itself we can grow so many plants and trees for food. Why do we need to go here and there? So this became the settled life. Now here you can see, now they started making huts also. They started living in one place, and they are doing the farming also. So they started living near the rivers, especially because we know for plants we need lot of water to plant, and fishes. For it was easy for them to catch fishes also. So they started settling near rivers. So rivers we know flows from the mountains, and near the river there are a lot of minerals also there. So while digging under the ground near the river bank, they found lot of minerals, which was very, very useful to them and new invention for them, a new discovery for them. For first metal they discovered was copper. Then from copper they discovered bronze, then iron and steel, and they found it so useful because they knew that this is very hard. So they started heating it on the fire, and while heating on fire they knew that we can give a different shape. Then they started making different tools, and they helped them in hunting of animals. And these were the different tools that they made. So this was very useful, a great change for them, making different tools for hunting, fishing, digging, sewing. So many things were there, especially for hunting, because stones and sticks, how much are you going to hunt wild animals? So this was a great change in their life. And now see where we are today on a different life, but we are from the same origin of those apes 40,000-50,000 years before. Then they started domesticating the animals also. They knew that some animals are not wild, some animals are pet animals, domestic animals. So maybe the dog was the first animal to be domesticated. Then sheep, goat, cow, buffalo, camel, they got milk also. So they thought this is very useful. We are getting milk also from chicken, hen we are getting egg also, we are getting meat also. So they started living in one place and growing all these domestic animals, hens, birds. So this became very useful, and like this way villages came into existence. So when more and more people increase, more and more huts are there. So perhaps this was the first village that came into existence, and after few years another village, another, and like that it continued, and today you know where the world is. So students, this was the explanation. Now let's see some question answers. What are cave paintings? So these paintings are very old and made by early man. They are mainly about animals and hunting scenes. That is, they wanted to show us how they hunted the animals, what type of animals were there, and how difficult it was for them to hunt those animals without weapons at those times. So this is what the cave paintings are, and this is what we have learned that we are explaining to you. Sixth question, how was fire discovered? So the early man saw a forest fire and felt the heat of the fire. They also learned that animals were scared of the fire. So this is how they discovered fire. They saw a fire in the forest. When they went near it, they felt heat. So they thought this is very good. And they also said that animals are running away from the fire. So they discovered, oh, this is what is fire. They didn't know the name, but they said, oh, this is something very burning and it is good for us then. State 2 uses of the fire for early man. So there were two main uses for the fire for people early period. After that there were many other uses. So the early man used the fire to keep themselves warm in winter because they had no clothes, only the animal skin. With that only the winter does not go, and to keep the dangerous animals away from them. So these two were the main uses of fire. After that, when they started eating, then they used that fire for cooking also and to see in the dark also in the caves. Next question. What made the man become a food producer from a food gatherer? So early humans were called food gatherer because they were called food gatherers because they used to go here and there in search of food. So they were called food gatherers or hunters. Then when they saw the plants growing, so they started sowing the seeds in one place. The early man started sowing seeds to grow plants. This was the beginning of farming, and the man became a food producer from a food gatherer. So when they started growing these seeds and the seeds became into plants and trees, so the man became a food producer. Now why he will go in search of food and collect foods from here and there? He can produce his own foods now. So related to this chapter, these were the question and answers, students. Hope you like this video. Thank you and take care.